Can you create a compact HF Go kit for portable amateur radio operating? Let's find out. Next on AA3K On The Go. Recently, I had a pretty big trip planned where I wanted to take some HF gear with me and hopefully operate Parks on the Air Park in Italy, of all places. And I put together this HF Go kit to do so that wouldn't take a lot of space in my luggage, but would still be effective enough to get contacts. Unfortunately, while I was in Italy, the days that I was closest to a park and maybe able to operate had quite a bit of liquid sunshine, better known as rain, that doing any sort of operating like that just would not have been fun. However, I still had the kit. I have had a chance to put it on the air. It has been successful. So let's go through the contents and show you what it takes to set up a really compact, a lightweight, about 2 pound, 2.5 pound kit to operate portable HF amateur radio in the field, Hawks on the air, Summits on the air, or just for the heck of it, just getting out and chasing some contacts on HF amateur radio. Without further delay, let's go through the contents of what's in this kit. Alrighty, here we go. Now, as I said, I put this together for a trip to Italy. And the chance to operate any HF while on the trip did not happen. However, I did take this with me on a camping trip to French Creek State Park this past March and took it out on its first sojourn into a closed for the season camping loop next to the one I was staying in. And as I was pulling everything out and getting things set up, well, if you watched my Got Batteries short, you'll know I left the batteries behind. So the first part of this kit, after I got it all together, that I added was a name strip that says Got Batteries. That's to remind me because I can take the batteries out and charge them separately and then make sure I put them back in the pack. But here we go. So what do I have in here? For all the items that I purchased to create this kit, I will leave a link in the description. And most of the items did come off of Amazon. I found on Etsy a place that makes the name strips, custom name strips, and I'll even leave a link there if you want to do it. The AA3K comms gear patch comes from the KM4 ACK store. And I have built his end-fed antennas. Also, one of his 3D printed antenna insulators is in this kit. He sells a bunch of unique stuff, which is really handy to grab. Check his store out when you have a chance. Okay, so we'll start here in the back, and just in case I ever need it, I had picked up long ago this pack of Coleman 50 feet braided nylon cord, and I've just put it with the pack here. There's some MOLLE straps on the back so you can actually attach this pack to your belt or a backpack and such, and I just slip it in here. Haven't used it yet. As you can tell, it's still in the original packaging. This braided cord, the braid might be a little bit difficult to get to go over a branch in a tree or something like that, but I could always use it to lash up the SOTA Beams Carbon 6 collapsible mast. This is a 6-meter mast, about 18 feet for us US people. And I have used this already to hold off the end of my end-fed half-wave antenna and lean it up against a branch in the tree. I won't open up the whole thing on camera, but the top is a little bit on the thin side, but it does include this attached piece of cord. To that, I tied off a fishing snap swivel that I can use to hold up the insulator or something else, or even just run my wire through from the end-fed half-wave antenna that I have in this kit and do it as a inverted V end-fed half-wave. And I do want to put a little cord on this cap and tie it off to the mast body so I don't accidentally lose it. All right, now let's get to the guts. We'll start with the more interesting stuff first. For the radio, I got a true SDX kit. It's built for the low bands, 20, 30, 60, 40, and 80 meters. I have operated it on 20 and 40 meters, and for about $120 pre-built radio, plus a few dollars more for the case, it works very, very well. I do hear some artifacts in the received audio, which I suspect is just the small microprocessor in here being pushed to its limit. But this is an SDR radio. I have used it twice now to do Parks on the Air activations, and the first time was at French Creek State Park when I did have the batteries. And I was very surprised, and about halfway through the 20 or so contacts that I made, I got a Sweden contact. So barely 5 watts across the whole Atlantic. It worked perfectly. This particular radio, and again, I'll leave a link to where I bought it from. It is an approved vendor of DL2MAN and PE1MNZ. It is an SMA. This kit does come with an SMA to BNC adapter, and you'll see in particulars about that shortly. For battery power, I opted to get their 3 18650 lithium polymer battery pack, and this will give me about 12 volts to operate the radio. I did get the proper cord, and I probably made that a little bit on the long side, but this plugs directly into the back of the radio here. Power up turns the radio on, and as there is no on-off switch on the radio, and I've already gotten 2 activations without charging the battery. These particular batteries came as a set of 4 along with the charger here that of course I got on Amazon. I do not normally carry the charger into the field, but I can obviously recharge back at base camp or at home. For an antenna, I opted for a K6 ARK NFED half-wave kit. A little kit, a little circuit board, mounts on the end of a BNC adapter. He sells several varieties of kits with both male and female BNCs. I think he has an SMA version too. I elected for the BNC version to give me the greatest utility to other radios, and I knew the radio already had an adapter with me. I did build this kit to use a counterpoise, and as you can see, I used separate male and female spade lugs, and I soldered them on, as this is very thin wire, like 26 gauge, and I couldn't get a good crimp on it. So my radiating wire has the male end, or female end, I forget which way I went here, but I can only put this together one way, having the counterpoise connect on one of these properly and the radiating element, and I can't get them mixed up. Again, I have done 2 field operations plus my backyard, and this antenna tuned up as easily as any of the other NFED half waves I have, and I use the same method that I did on my 1010s NFED half wave that I have in a previous video, and just adjust the end of the radiating element until I got a great SWR across all the bands that this NFED half wave covers, which is 10, 15, 20, and 40 meters. I would have liked to have done it for 80 meters also, but you're talking about 120 feet of wire. That is a bit much to set up in the field, and gets very big in the pack to carry with. Here is the radiating element, and I just coil it up. I used BNTech Go wire, again, available off of Amazon. A number of other hams on YouTube have used it. It's 26 gauge silicon coated wire. It's very nice. It does not generate a memory when you roll it up, coil it, bend it, or anything like that. Really the only problem I had is I would normally just crimp these connectors on, but I found the wire so thin I couldn't get a reliable crimp. So I went ahead and soldered the lug on. So the radiating element has the male end that would go into the female end here, and the counterpoise, and I like to use a counterpoise, be it the coax shield or a separate wire on my end-fed half waves, goes onto the male end here, and I'll show you that in a moment, and that's a 20-foot counterpoise. I did get this nice 3D printed insulator from the KM4 ACK shop. My original build of this before this came after ordering it was just to cut about a 3/4 of an inch wide sliver of credit card, punch a thick hole in it to put this spring-loaded key ring holder, key holder in it, and like 3 holes to snake the wire through and then tie it off so it wouldn't come out. And that worked fine, but I like the look, and it looks a little bit more professional there. I mentioned the radiating wire, and this is just a 20-foot length. It goes in the other end, and I just lay it on the ground. Again, got a great match going with my Rig Expert AA55 zoom across all of the bands that the end-fed half wave works on. If you notice, the key was constantly kind of getting stuck on the bottom of the bag. I wanted a small iambic paddle to take with me, and I had seen a reference to the what's commonly known or simply known as the $25 paddle on eBay. And what reviews I found of it were decent enough. So for $25 and maybe a little bit of shipping, I ordered it from a US distributor. It makes a very good field paddle. It does have a nice magnet glued on the bottom. I wish it was a little bit longer to hold, but just hold it like that, work it. And one of my activations with this, I just tried sticking it on the batteries, but it does have a little bit of wiggle. This does come with 2 stick-on metal pads that you can put on top of a radio, plastic case radio, and hold it in that place. But for field operation, holding it in the hand works just fine. As you can see, it does use a tip ring sleeve cable, and that would plug straight into the radio. You got a few feet, and it's been fine. Obviously, I prefer to listen to CW through earbuds, and this is just a pair that, if I remember correctly, I got from United Airlines, one of the airlines I flew on. It's not particularly fancy, but it does work. It fits well in my ear. It seals out outside noise, and the radio has no problem driving it. And that's it for the main pouch. The accessory pouch has a little notebook in case I am not going to be logging on my phone. If I should need it, power pole to a plug that will fit into this radio, pencil, some quick notes about the operation of the true SDX. It has gone through several software revisions, and the operating instructions for the radio have been lagging a little bit. It's a really small pen in addition to the pencil. And I also grabbed another one of these tent pegs, spikes. I can use this to throw the cord over a tree branch as a little bit of a weight to bring it down the other end, and tie it off to the ground so the antenna could potentially stay in the air. And it's just a few ounces, and handy to have it rather than not. And the final thing in there is just the Allen key to adjust the paddles if I want to make any adjustments in the field. There we have it. I'll be doing a separate review of the true SDX, but suffice it to say, it's a nice little portable radio. Do I think my FT817 overall is a better radio? Yes, I do. But this has worked very well in the field. It's very lightweight, not much bigger than a deck of cards, a little thicker than a traditional deck of cards. And it's amazing the work that DL2MAN and PE1MNZ have put into this design. They really, truly must be congratulated for what they have given to the amateur radio community. So for this kit, I really only have two downsides. First, the BNC goes directly to the radio. I do not carry any coax. That means whatever my operating position is has to be basically within 65 feet of where the end of the antenna is falling in, if it is a end-fed half-wave setup as a sloper. I've been lucky. I have had picnic tables close enough to do so. With some coax, I could stretch it out, put the antenna where it's best, and sit where it's best. But I do not want to add the extra weight and volume to this little pack that I'm carrying. The other thing is the Ham Radio Crash Course channel, KI6NAZ Josh, has created the Go Kit Challenge. Can you create a Go Kit for POTA, SOTA, and field operating that weighs a pound or less? Currently, this pack is about 2.5 pounds. There's probably a few things I can eliminate. First thing would be the mast, but having the mast, being able to lean up in a tree saves time instead of having to throw something up. And here in Pennsylvania, the park rangers are pretty accepting of parks on the air and operations in parks and putting ropes up in trees, as long as you take them down when you're done and avoid any particularly marked sensitive areas. Other states I know do not have such luxuries. So leaning a mast up on a branch or tying it off to a fence post or a picnic table or something like that is a far more acceptable way to go. But 2 successful Parks on the Air activations with this kit, French Creek State Park, Lehigh Gorge State Park here in Pennsylvania, testing it in my backyard. I have taken it on my travels for work, but have not had a chance to do any operating with it, though I do intend to do so. As I said, I think the FT817 is a better radio than the true SDX, but definitely the 817 is at least 4 times the size of this. Hey, thanks for watching. Check out the video I've got linked showing you what's in my full-size QRP backpack, and I'll catch you next time on the AA3K On The Go, where we're helping you make the outdoors your ham shack. 73. This is Mark, AA3K.